Yo, what's good guys, but I'm Fire here back from a video, and today we're going to be hopping into another offensive run scheme in Madden 22. Today we're going to be in the single back wing tight formation, San Francisco 49ers offensive playbook, which is a playbook rather that I do not use a whole ton, but it's very good, very underrated. I definitely want to get more into this 49ers playbook because there's a ton of cool I-form, single back, strong. There's a lot of just unique formations that are actually pretty good in this playbook. We're going to start on the wing tight, which is a 3 tight end set. We're going to be using juice check at one of those spots, though. Who's better? I guess these guys are kind of the same. But yeah, 3 tight ends. You have 1 wide receiver, which is going to be Deebo Samuel over here. And yeah, it's more intended to run the ball, play action, short pass, rather than throw the ball 30 times a game. We're going to go over the run plays in this video. If you guys want to see a gameplay, let me know down below in the comments. I can bring that to you. But we are going to showcase some of the runs off, so I'm going to move my camera up. I messed up. There we go. Camera is up. And some of the runs that we have, for example, are the inside zone, stretch, alert, X looky, dive, belly weak, 26 duo, ace power, and stretch. There's also a jet sweep in here, which is cool. We're going to go put these in our audibles. These are the 4 of the 5 runs we're going to go over: dive, stretch, ace power, and belly weak. The other play we're going to talk about is 26 duo, which is very similar to the power O, just without the pulling guard, which you will see. But yeah, man, without further ado, let's jump straight into it. And here is a look at kind of the way you want to approach things. Got to move my camera slightly. And there we go. So we do want to approach things differently. Now, the way that you're going to get out on the field is with your wide receiver on the wide side of the field. You want the most space for your wide receiver to be in space. So you're going to have your 2 tight ends side to the short side of the field, but we're going to be doing a lot of cool motions in this video. I'm just going to start out by showing some of the motion that you can actually do, and we'll start out with Samuel. You can motion Samuel in. You can actually motion snap him right about here. As you see, that's the 26 duo run. Additionally, what you can do with a guy like Deebo Samuel is just completely motion him across the formation. So we can snap him at any point there, or we can motion him, snap him here, snap him there, but you can kind of motion him across. And you see how just motion can open up different run lanes. For example, us being able to cut inside there because he picks up a block. So that's one example of what you can do with Deebo Samuel. Now, if you're using Kyle Juszczyk, you can motion him to the outside and create a single back wing slot look. This will now allow him to have wide receiver hot routes. You can do that. Additionally, you can also motion him over to this right-hand side. He will kind of be in a odd position. This creates a single back wing pair look. So if you like the wing pair, you can create some cool different running schemes like that. Again, you can also motion snap him at any point during that particular period of time. So that is Juszczyk's motion. Now we got George Kittle. You can motion Kittle to the right here, where you cannot motion snap him, sadly, but this will turn him into a wide receiver. He now gets wide receiver hot routes. And it can just create a different look. Again, some of these motions can be good, and if you need to get a wide receiver out there and if you, for whatever reason, you have hot route master, you need to get George Kittle on like a deep post, you can motion him out to the right, motion him back in. So we showed that. We can motion him to here. We cannot motion snap him until he's like right about there, but again, he kind of lines up in a tight end spot. He does not move over to the wide receiver position, so that's George Kittle's motions. And the last guy we got is Warner over here. You can motion snap him, which is something that I do a lot for the stretch, not so much for these inside runs. The last thing that you can do with this player is motion him across the formation, and he again ends up in that same tight end spot. I believe you can motion snap him, although I did not do that there. But let's talk about some of the running plays now. We got the 26 duo, and it's been the play that we're running the whole time. And as you've noticed, it is a power O without the pulling guard, which is kind of what I already said. Power O, no guard pulls, so it's just some constant blocking up front. You don't have to worry about being patient in this particular run play because you do not have a guard pulling that you can run into. So you just kind of find your opening gap and just follow it. You can cut it inside, outside, back to the left if you wanted. It's not the best run, which is why we're kind of talking about it first and why it's actually not in our audibles, but it is decent. Some people like it. I like the regular power O better, which we do have in the ace power. That's going to take us to our dive. I like the dive a lot in this playbook. And the best way to run the dive, in my opinion, is to motion this guy over and kind of create a wham block. Now, you should be able to do this, I think, from both sides. You can't do it with Kittle, but I think you can maybe also do it with You probably can't. Yeah, you can't do it with juice check, but if you want to motion him like right here, snap the ball, you can create different running lanes by doing that. Now we are going against a heavy set, so they're going to defend the run pretty well, although not perfectly. Another motion I like to do for dive is to motion Deebo Samuel in, kind of snap him right about here. This allows him to get inside, and with the halfback dive, you're rarely going to cut it back anyway to the outside, so just getting some extra blocking in the middle of the field rather than him blocking a useless corner that's never going to make a play on the ball is very helpful. Again, you motion him right about here. He ends up cutting inside, and I mean, just look at the blocks. He actually ends up moving up, blocking the free safety, which is Logan Ryan in this case. So motion makes a ton of difference in the game. Again, you can do things like flip the run as well. So we can flip the run to the left, motion Deebo Samuels in, and then look at that, blocking easy 10 yards almost before contact as well. Just super useful and super underrated thing to do. Another thing you can do with dive, if you wanted to motion this guy out a little bit, a lot of times when you actually motion him out, he ends up going back in. So you can do the wham kind of block with him or motion him out. But I mean, overall, you're relatively limited. You can, again, motion this guy over, motion snap him here. But I mean, you're limited with the dive because you're really only going up the middle. But you see that motion already making a difference. The next play we got is stretch. And we're going to start out by running it over to the right-hand side. You can do two things that I would recommend running to the right. You can, of course, just come out here, snap the ball, run it to the right, and George Kittle, who should have held that block, did not do his job. So that's one way to run stretch stock. I would not do that. If I'm running stretch, I'm just going to get this guy out here, and he's just going to either block the corner or allow me to cut inside. It depends. If you let him get set, he's definitely going to block the corner. If you do kind of motion snap him the way we did there, he's probably going to cut back in and end up picking up one of these other guys the way that he did right there. So that's one way to run the stretch. The next way to do it is to actually, if you're still running it to this right side, motion over Deebo Samuel. And if I wanted to run the stretch to the two tight end set, we don't have to necessarily be on this hash mark every single time. Just because I said you want to be on the hash mark, it helps for passing plays, doesn't mean you can't mix it up for certain run plays. So you don't have to stay true to that necessarily on every single case scenario. But the next way to run it is going to be flipped, so you can actually flip it to the left. You can run it stock. I like to motion over a tight end over there. Just give me some extra blocking. Now you see how he's going to take away Logan Ryan, although he is unable to hold the block because he is pretty low overall. You notice how you saw that. That could definitely work. Here you see it stock. If Deebo Samuel is able to pick up that corner, we have an easy 10 yards. He didn't for whatever reason. But, I mean, you guys can definitely see these run plays working, developing well. So you can just mix things up. You do notice when Kittle motions over, it does move Deebo Samuel in slightly. I'm not sure if that would adjust his hot routes if you had Hot Route Master, but you can see how we pick up about around almost 15 yards right there. So overall, very, very effective play design and everything like that we are utilizing. Next up, we got the halfback ace power, which is more of our traditional power O run play. And this does have a pulling guard, so you're going to be patient with this. Running to the weak side is usually not the best idea because you see there's a free guy, especially with no motion. Rather, there's no motion, so one of these guys is going to get free, and then you have to be a little bit patient. And being patient in this game is not super easy, as I accidentally run backwards right there. But if you do incorporate some motion, like motioning over Warner, like so, you can get a little motion snap, cut up the middle, and now you get a situation where maybe you can cut it back like this. Power is a more advanced run. It takes a little bit more stick skills, but if you have advanced kind of stick skills, you can take advantage. Now this play actually is automatically running to the left, so you of course can flip it to the right. And I mean, just look at that gap that you saw right there, just huge space. If you're able to make a man miss, you could be off to the races. Again, you want to flip it to the right by just flicking your right stick to that side. Be a little bit patient. That time we kind of read the blocks wrong, although our guard didn't look like he was going to do anything really anyway. But of course, you can just mix it up like doing this. Again, if we were to run it, I don't know, maybe to the left, we're trying to cut it maybe up the middle. We can motion Deebo over, snap him right about here, and again, it's just not, you need fast guards, I would say. Get some quicker guards. These guys, I don't know who that is, but he's super slow. But there you see an example of us working stock, and again, it depends on how the blocks develop. And of course the ratings of the players. But ace power is probably the worst play in this. I don't know. It's interesting. It depends on the formation that you're playing against and a couple of different factors. This is a good run, the belly weak. You notice that the person who is featured in this blocking play is going to be your tight end on that right side. in this case Warner, and you see how he actually goes across the formation. You can also cut it inside, but look, I mean, just look at that hole. We weren't even holding sprint for the first 2 seconds of the play, and we pick up 10 yards before contact. Very good run. Now, if you were to motion Warner over, that does not really affect the play too much. He still kind of goes out there, but you see how we get a worse result. So a lot of times with this play, I like to kind of keep it the way it is. Don't ruin a good thing. You can, of course, flip this play. If you flip this play, the blocking scheme still does look the same, and Warner still, he just turns into a weird block for whatever reason, and that's just because you have 2 guys on one side, and then you only have 1 tight end when you flip it, so it is doomed to switch. It's not like you're in jumbo, but you notice how he actually ends up blocking decently good there. Now there's a linebacker who gets free because we don't have anyone pulling over there, so pay attention to that. Now again, you can still use motion, so we can have Deebo Samuel motion in, and then we can still have this guy get across. But a lot of times I notice myself taking the inside route on these little belly weeks. You could go to the outside, but when you go to the outside, a lot of times what you see is different block sheds, things like that. Let's say we wanted to flip it, run it to this right side, and motion Deebo completely over to the formation. That could definitely work, but again, you see a lot of times we just got to outrun that one guy or make him miss. You can use leapfrog or different things, but overall, that's going to do a video. If you guys enjoyed, drop a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, and peace. I'm out of here.